Okay, hi guys, and welcome to the show. Today I'm going to be discussing my top 5 loves and hates of the Rolex GMT Master II. This, of course, is from my own collection. A Grail watch of sorts. Actually, yeah, definitely a Grail watch. And believe me, I went through a ton of GMTs before I came to the realization that this is the GMT for me. So it's going to be really difficult coming up for 5 negatives of this particular watch. Anyway, before I get into this video, I've got to do my wristwatch check, and I am still wearing the Tissot, the 1930s inspired Tissot chronograph. This is the little Gennaro. Yesterday on the Instagram, I shared a picture of this on a collarette, on the green collarette. Today I'm wearing it on a khaki NATO strap, just dressing it down. It's a very complicated dial, so I believe a simpler NATO strap really kind of makes the dial does all the work. That's the center of attention, so you don't want to distract from that beautiful feature. Yesterday I shared it on my Instagram along with a stunning Art Deco Cartier clock I found in a recent gift. I was given this beautiful book at Christmas, and in there is a stunning ancient Egyptian inspired Howard Carter era, of course, incredible mantle clock by Cartier. So if you didn't see that, have a look. It's absolutely gorgeous, beautiful mother of pearl dial. Anyway, I'm rabbiting on far too much, so let's roll the intro and get into today's video. Okay, welcome back guys. So let's get started. We'll start with the 5 loves of this watch, and this is very easy to do because it really is an incredible watch. So this is the Rolex GMT Master II. The reference is 16710, of course the Pepsi version, and I refer to it lovingly as the Hoffman. We'll get into as to why in just a second. So number 1, and this is very easy, but you guys know I love a good story, I love a good heritage and history to a piece, and the Rolex GMT Master has that in the bucket loads. Of course, it was famously first released in 1954 in collaboration with Pan Am, designed for pilots. So of course it captures the charm, romance of that era, the just as we're getting into the jet age, the end of the propeller age, a very romantic time. And you guys know I love my aviation, as you can see by my little model planes in the background. But it definitely brings an extra level of allure and charm to the piece. Okay, so number 2, and it is actually a Grail watch, and I mentioned briefly in the intro. When I was a kid, I'm not sure exactly when, but I did see Dustin Hoffman, who's a favorite actor of mine. In fact, I'm recently getting into the Medicis, a new series on Netflix, and he's in it, so it's perfect timing. And I never forget seeing a picture of him wearing one. I think it was at an Oscars. I'll share the pictures before I was born even, so I saw this later on in my youth. And I never forget that watch, that the little pop of blue and red, it just I don't know, it just appealed to me. It's not until later on that I got into watches that I found out what it was. And of course, this film, Marathon Man. Those of you know, follow the show, know that I adore this film. It's filmed here in New York, so it's got a lot of really cool shots of New York. Dustin Hoffman does wear a GMT. I'm pretty sure it's the Coke version, however, in this film, but it's a Rolex GMT all the same, and it actually features in the plot. It's a plot device. He trades it into a taxi driver to get out of danger when he's being chased. It was a gift to his brother, who's also I'm not going to say too much in case you haven't seen it, but check out this film. Also, Laurence Olivier, who's another favorite of mine, famous for pulling a Schwarzkopf as well. He used to wear 2 watches at the same time. He's also in it playing one of the most memorable bad guys of all time. Is it safe? Is it safe indeed? So it's a Grail watch for me, and hence why I refer to it as the Hoffman. There was a lot of trial and error and there was a long process of elimination, and I put it off. I kind of was in denial. I didn't want to admit that this is the GMT and I'm gonna have to fork out a hell of a lot of money. Sometimes you cannot shortchange your Grail, you have to go all the way. So it was an interesting journey coming to this conclusion, and I think that's why I'm very, very satisfied with my choice, final choice of my GMT watch for my collection. Okay, my third love or like of this watch is definitely its complication. As you guys, well, it's painfully obvious. I'm British, I'm living in New York, so having multiple time zones is really, really useful. I keep the GMT hand set to, well, Greenwich Mean Time, to London time, and because I have family back in Europe, it's very, very useful always, you know, to see what time it is over there at a glance. The GMT complication has got to be one of my top 3 favorite complications in a watch. I think chronograph, yeah, as I'm wearing one, I think chronograph, day date, and the GMT are my favorite complications. It's just so practical and useful. So for me, a Brit living in New York, keeping track of time across the pond is invaluable. One of my most worn watches of 2016, as I said in the video the other day. Okay, so that was number 3. Number 4, and it's got to be its design. I love the playful colors of the Pepsi bezel. That pop of color, it's fun, it's playful without being gaudy or without being too loud. Instantly recognizable. It's a classic, iconic design that only gets better with age. Mine is a late 90s model, so it hasn't turned pink. The red part of the Pepsi bezel actually turns pink. You might have seen in watches from the 70s and around that time period, they turn a beautiful pink. I'm really looking forward to that. It really does get better with age, you know. Not very many watches can do that. Also, it's a very versatile design. It's a strap monster. It can look great on a distressed collar ebb or a NATO strap. The colors are fun to play with. You can dress it up, dress it down, and I think because it is a classic vintage watch now, it is excusable to wear it. Yes, it is a tool watch, but it is excusable to wear it on a I think something a little bit smart, like a crocodile strap, for example. I think you can get away with it. Also, it's not that tall, so it does wear very well under the cuff. I know it's a faux pas, but I think it's earned the right to be worn formally now. Okay, so that was number 4. Number 5, and that's got to be its performance. The 3185 movement is incredibly robust. It's COSC certified chronometer, of course. Its accuracy is as good as it gets. And not only that, a 50-hour power reserve. It's just very reliable. Also, I love the fact that it's got the oyster case, so you've got 100 meters water resistance there, so you don't have to worry about it. You can take it in the pool. And it's great travel watch. I mean, it was designed for that purpose and it does it impeccably well. It's a watch that could really cancel out a lot of watches in one's collection. You know, if as you narrow down, it's going to be one of those keepers that just stays in there because it's iconic, because it's reliable, because it's accurate, because it's a design icon. It has so much going for it. But above and beyond all of that, it's dependable. It's got that Rolex dependability, and not only dependable in terms of its performance, but actually also as an investment. The price is skyrocketing on these. I mean, it doesn't really get much better than that. Okay, so those were my 5 loves of the Rolex GMT Master II. What are my negatives? Okay, well, number 1, and this is very obvious, and it's got to be the clasp. I'm slightly spoiled in this department because I'm so used to the glide lock system of the clasp in my oyster bracelet of my new ceramic Submariner that going back to this one was suddenly, it just became painfully obvious how dated some of these older Rolex clasps are. So much so that, you know, I've sold it. I'm not going to wear it on this dated clasp. In fact, as we speak, I have a Jubilee bracelet incoming. You can see in the background I'm stalking the USPS. I was praying that it would arrive in time for me to make this video. Unfortunately, it's snowing and the USPS are obviously running late. However, I have bought a Jubilee bracelet. I've been meaning to do it for a long time. So yeah, definitely a negative. And number two, that goes perfectly in my second point, my second negative of the watch, is the bracelet. The bracelet was painfully flimsy and not very solid feeling. Actually, the Jubilee is even more flimsy, but it's flimsy in a likable way. It's very comfortable. Rolex really improved the Oyster bracelet to such an extent that I've done videos discussing the new clasp and bracelet in my Rolex Submarine. I did a video just about this subject because they improved it to such an extent. It's my favorite bracelet and clasp of all time. In fact, I hardly ever wear my Submariner without it. I just adore it so much. It's comfortable, it's practical, it's solid, it's robust, extremely well made. It's instantly adjustable on the wrist. You don't have to drag around tools to adjust it or anything like that. Those are my first two negative points, is the bracelet and clasp, which is very dated. And I know I'm slightly spoiled because I've got the Submariner, but I had to put it in there. Okay, so that was 1 and 2. What is number 3? Well, it's got to be the date change. Unfortunately, I love the 3185. It's a great robust movement, rugged as hell, but the date change is a little bit annoying. When you pull the crown out to the first position, when you're setting the hour hand, it skips in hourly increments. So to change the date, let's say you're on the 1st of the month and you want to change it to the 29th, you have to cycle through. It is very annoying. However, I must say it's not as annoying as on my Breitling Navitimer, the reference A23322, that has that, you know, you have to go back and forth. If you guys have seen that video, it is nauseatingly frustrating. Don't get me wrong, I adore these watches, but you know, it's annoying, especially if you haven't had it in rotation for a while and you've got to, you know, you haven't got much time to set the date. I know, first world problems, I know. Okay, so that was number 3. Number 4, and this is a bit of a controversial one, but the price. Is it really worth? I mean, how much are they going for? 7-8 grand now, you know, for a watch that, let's be honest, it's an old watch. It doesn't really bring anything new to the table. There's a lot of far more modern, updated GMTs out there for a lot less. Yes, it is an icon. Yes, it's very much desired, but there is a lot of hype around the price. And when you really break it down, I mean, I was very fortunate. I got a great deal on mine. I didn't actually intend to buy it. I just saw this opportunity and I went for it. If I was to buy one now, I don't think I would be willing to spend that much money. I mean, yes, it's a gorgeous watch. The flip side, of course, is that it is a great investment. However, is it really worth the money? And we could discuss this for days. I mean, this is a whole video in itself. Is it worth spending this amount of money for what is essentially, you know, just a tool watch? It's not a precious metal. It's not anything extraordinary compared to what you could buy with that money. But that's the thing about Rolex, you know, how much of it are you paying just for the hype? You know, it is a little. I find it a little bit distasteful. Now I know I'm being a hypocrite because I've bought the thing, but I think I got it just in the nick of time. So yeah, the price, I don't really, at the end of the day, I don't think it is worth what they're going for now. Yeah, sorry to say, but definitely it's a negative. Last negative of this watch, and this is really difficult. I struggled with this. I really did, guys, because I'm in love with it. I'm very happy with it, but I really struggled to find 5 things I disliked about it. And I've got to say, I noticed something about its case, and it only occurred to me the other day, is just how flat some of the Rolex sport watches are. Even my little Tudor Day date has a little bit more curve to the lugs. I would have loved if the lugs just angled down a bit. If you see on my Gennaro, the way the lugs point downwards, it adds an extra little bit of comfort to the wearing of the watch. It makes it hug the wrist. This is not a problem if you've got big wrists. As you guys know, I have very small wrists, so this doesn't apply to everybody. However, I have noticed on certain straps, the flatness of some of the Rolex sports watches is a little bit of an annoyance. Not an annoyance, I just wish they had a bit more curve to it, especially when you take it off and you put something else on that is a similar size, that has more curvature to the lugs, it is angled downwards, you notice it fits a lot better. But really guys, this is a very minor thing. As I said, this is an incredible watch. So I really am nitpicking with that fifth point. Guys, if you happen to own this watch, please do share your main loves and hates in the comments. I'd love to hear your feedback. Don't forget to add your thoughts, queries, questions, all the rest of it down in the comments below. Thank you very, very much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it and found it useful. And as always guys, I will catch you in the next one. Okay, ciao.
Is it safe?
Yes, it's safe. It's very safe. It's so safe you wouldn't believe it.
Is it safe?
No, it's not safe. It's very dangerous.